Hello and welcome. Thank you for watching the recording about the Math Pathways information session. I hope you find all the answers, and if not, please feel free to reach out to the college. What we'll be looking at in this video is Math Pathways in a nutshell, what it is, how it works, what we do with it, the parent portal interface. We're going to look at the curriculum grid, report layout, and address any questions that may have come up on the Math Pathways evening. So, Math Pathways in a nutshell is like an online textbook where we teach your child about independence and working in a way at their own pace so that they can be comfortable with the maths that they're learning. This is a flipped learning system where the emphasis is taken away from whole class teaching, where it's teacher driven, to trying to build students back into the confidence of maths. With independence, with small group teaching, and targeted or individual support. Now, Math Pathways works with maths at your child's level. To get to the child's level, we do a lot of diagnostics. What that is a version of a PAT test or a NAPLAN test. The system then uses artificial intelligence, if you want to say it that way, to identify what your child knows through a series of questions. The questions keep adapting by what your child answers correct and what they may have trouble with, and then forms an idea of what modules or units of work they still need to complete in maths. So it's gap filling through mastery. If you think about mathematics is building a house, we've got the foundation at the bottom, and every year level is bricks that I have to fill in to complete the foundation of the house or the wall of the house correctly. As we go, due to being ill or just not getting a question or missing a couple of lessons, you may have missed bricks here and there, which then snowballs into more concepts that you are struggling with. So even though you are good at maths or maybe not so good at maths, these small instances where you've missed class become gaping holes in your wall. And the idea of Math Pathways is to identify where these gaping holes are so that we can then fill those gaps and strengthen your foundation. So it works like an online textbook with modules or units that your child then works through. It's small group teaching, so instead of me standing in front of the room teaching to 30 kids at once and hoping that all of you get it, I will have small groups of 6 to 10 students where I will adjust the lesson to the students and the level that I have in front of me, which means if your child struggles, it's much easier for them to stop and to ask questions because it's less students, but also because it's less students, I can tailor the group that I put together to get everybody at the same level in that group. We also look at problem-solving tasks to get that rich thinking involved so that your child will have a stronger understanding of the application of math in real life. Now, the table we've got there is a rough idea of what a cycle would look like. So a cycle is 2 weeks. It goes from your child working independently on modules to your child being involved in mini lessons to targeted intervention, which is one-on-one help where the teacher is sitting with your child specifically working on stuff that they have trouble with. The problem is usually in a traditional classroom, we miss out on that. So your child's not getting that one-on-one help that they really want. Once a fortnight, there's a test. And on the test, they do a reflection and they do goal setting for the next 2 weeks where they reflect on not only what they did in their test, but what they did wrong, why they got it wrong, and also what they got right. Part of that reflection is a one-on-one meeting with the teacher where we go over the test with them and we discuss anything to provide further targeted help to your child. Now, what does it look like if your child logs in? So what your child sees is something that looks like that. As you can see on the top left-hand corner, they've got home, results, diagnostic or data. And what is in there is a user interface we'll look at a little bit later, and I'll highlight what they can see. On the top right-hand corner, we've got parents, carers, help. You can see they have all the previous cycles and information is available to them. Now, the activities I have there, you can see above it is information, for example, second try, like they've had a go before, but they were not successful in the test. There will also be things like, for example, you did your question too fast. Then you will see start new activity. That is where your child goes and select the module that they want to do. And it also shows how many activities they still have left. Now, for year 7 and 8, we only expect them to do 5 modules a cycle because they only have 7 lessons. Where with year 9s, they are working on 3-week cycles. And we are expecting 9 modules over the 3 weeks. We also expect a high accuracy rate, which I'll talk about later, which will ensure that your child is successful. What you will also see is that there's a test scheduled, and they can see when that test is with a countdown timer happening so that they know exactly where we are at, how many days do I have left, and what do I need to do. Once they're finished with their test, it also prompts their reflection. Now, if they select activity, this is relatively what the screen looks like, what they click into. All of this having different colors. In the top right-hand side, you can see there's all, try again, first available. If it's all of the modules like this is highlighted to them, and they can then select modules from there. For the modules for them to select are the ones that are in blue. The ones in gold are the ones that they have already successfully mastered, and the ones in green are the ones that they've already completed and is ready for their next test. If I go try again, you will see on the left-hand side, it highlights in a dark blue modules that they have previously made mistakes on, so they have not yet mastered it. If I click on that dark blue, it will then, in one of these gems, highlighted it as a dark blue for me so it stands out visibly so that I know that's a module that I can go back and try again. If I click and I change it to first available, it will show me on my learning map the lowest possible module that I can do to fill the lower gaps first. We highly encourage students to do the first available modules so that we can fill those gaps from the bottom up. Not only does it look really neat, but it also means that they've got a stronger foundation for the higher work that they need to do. If they start a module, so they click on the module that they've chosen, there's a 4-step process involved. Now, these processes were developed by Math Pathways, listening to feedback from teachers about things we really wanted. We said we'd like to see revision being built into the system, and they created warm-ups for us. So, in a warm-up, your child will go through a couple of questions, as you can see at the top, warm-up completed, about work they've previously done. Part of us remembering work is that always going back and reflecting on that work. It doesn't help like in a traditional system, you do algebra in term 1, and then next year term 1 is the next time you see that. It's not really good for recognition or for mastery or keeping that information, and that's why the warm-up will go back in previous information that your child has done and ask questions. From that process, you can see from warm-up we go to entrance ticket. So in the entrance ticket, there are 4 questions that they need to do. So these tickets emulate what they will see in a test or what they can expect to see in exams. So it preempts for them or prompts for them what the information is I need to be able to recognize and reciprocate. As you can see, if they've got a question wrong, it also shows that. Now, with the entrance ticket system, they have 3 or 4 entrance tickets where if they get all the questions right, it immediately gets sent to their test because the module has decided you clearly know this information, so why make you do the work? We do have the option of getting a retest where we go back, we redo the questions they had incorrect in the diagnostic so that the work they are doing is not too easy for them. Once I've completed their entrance ticket, they will go on to start with the module. So it will highlight for them, look out for something like that. because that's a test practice question. That's a question I need to make sure I get right. It will, in the paper, as you can see there in the test, it will actually show it like that above the question. If I click in the module and I say, oh, I need help, because all of these questions have help, I can see it will guide me through check the answer, watch the module video, work that with friends, or ask the teacher. That doesn't mean that your child can't come to us to ask help. This strategy is known as 3 before me, and it just teaches your child independent skills of trying to problem solve to find a solution, and not just always going to the teacher first, but trying to find different ways of coming to a solution. What if your child's doing math at home and they're struggling? I mean, they can't just ask the teacher. So that's why the prompts like check the answer, see if you can find your mistake in there and understand your mistake. If that didn't work, you can watch the module video, which will also help. If they're alone at home, obviously they can't work with friends or a teacher, but it just gives them strategies if a friend or a teacher isn't there, how to then find help as well. If they click too quick through the questions, it will actually say that this is unanswered, and it will not count it as effectively done. Remember, math is a practice subject. You have to actively practice the work to get better at it. If you keep making the same mistake, that means clearly you're not understanding where you went wrong. And that's where you have to go back and check and make sure that you do understand the work. So if you're just clicking through the answers, you're not practicing the concept, which means it's not becoming second nature. So you may get it wrong or struggle with it later. Once your child's finished their module, they get an exit ticket. As part of the exit ticket, again, it is practice questions that will help them prepare for the test. So it's like a revision quiz on the module that they've just done to make sure that they get it right. If they can't answer the exit ticket, they need to go back and rework the module, because the understanding and expectation is if you have worked the module effectively, you should be able to pass the exit ticket. Now, once your child is finished, they come back to this screen and they can start a new activity. Once they've finished the test, their activities will change, and you can see gold means mastered and grey means not yet mastered. It will also show any activities your child has not yet completed. Now, you as a parent want to log in and you want to see the information that is available to you. The brilliant thing of Math Pathways, it is completely transparent for parents, carers, students, and teachers. None of us can hide anything about the math we do in class. So it's a bit like if you think about COVID, when you got to see how your teacher taught your child because they probably did it through online platforms. This is the same type of thing, but you always have access. You don't have to wait until that lesson was taught. Once you click on the parent portal, this is where you log in. The first thing that starts up is what is Math Pathways, and under the video there are a couple of frequently asked questions that are answered to support you as a parent. If you scroll down further, you get to the parent-carer details. You can put in 2 different sets of emails or information so that you get emails every fortnight your child's test results and can remember to click in and go and see how your child went. It also prompts you to then have a conversation with your child about their test and try and find out and get that communication going about how they went in maths that fortnight. It will also flag for you pretty early on if your child is struggling or if your child is being very successful, so that you can engage in conversation with the teacher with the success or the struggle so that we can find the best support for your child. You will see the growth rate where it will explain the effort to your child. So there were 6 assigned modules, they completed 6, or they may have done more or less. The growth, how that is calculated, and then the accuracy. Now, I will go into how the growth and accuracy is calculated later, and hopefully those percentages will make more sense to you. Then scrolling down further, you will see recent learning. Now, recent learning shows you that my child completed what module they completed. If you actually click on it, it's hyperlinked. It will open up the activity for you and you can actually go in and see what the activity was. If it's green showing current, it means it's currently sitting there. It's something they are currently working on. They have not been tested on it. If it is gold, they've mastered it. If it's grey, they have not yet. From that is the curriculum grid. Now, your child can access this as well. The curriculum grid pretty much shows your child where the gaps in their learning is. The white information is where there isn't anything in Acara for us to test, so there is no curriculum to be tested. If you look at the diagonal lined gold, that is mastery from diagnostics. If you look at the solid gold, it's mastery in tests. And then if you're looking at the light grey, it's the activities that is available to master. Now, each child's curriculum grid will look different. Not one child is the same, not one child's learning is the same. And you need to look at this in respect of your child. Sometimes it can be confronting. And if you don't understand or you struggle to understand the information, please reach out to a teacher, make time, or talk over the phone, or come and see us in person, and we are happy to sit with you and discuss this information. Now, if I click on one of those blocks, it actually shows me what information is still to be taught there. There's also a grid to show you the legend, what each of that color means. So you can see the diagonals means learning from a diagnostic. The light yellow means previous year's learning. The dark gold would be mastered that year. Dark grey would be not yet diagnosed, so we still need to do another diagnostic. Or light grey means it's open for them to do. If you scroll a bit further, you will go down to reflections and you can actually see your child's goal setting. I encourage you to scroll down to reflections and discuss this with your child. When we do check-ins after a test with your child, we will actually discuss these goals with them, going, I will stop going slow, I will start going fast, I'll keep doing my best, and we'll ask them what the slow means, what the faster means, and the best, and we can actually change and update these to better reflect it. Because let's be honest, what does slow mean? And what does faster mean? And what does my best look like? So we want students to give a better, like a more detailed goal so that they actually know what it is they are going for, because on their home screen, their goal will always be there reflected. For the reporting then at the end of every semester, it will look slightly different to other subjects in the sense that we give you a number and algebra result, we give you a measurement and geometry result, and we give you a statistics and probability result. We also give you a percentage for effort and a percentage for accurate. Considering that very good and good is a relative term, giving you a percentage gives you an idea of, out of an effort of 100%, your child gave us 90%. I, as a parent, would be quite happy with a high percentage like that. Accuracy out of 100, your child has a 91% accuracy. Again, that is something that I would be really happy with. Remember, just because your child gets a C doesn't mean that they're not doing their best or trying their hardest. So that is where the nice thing comes in with the effort and accuracy, because it actually shows you how much your child is applying themselves in mathematics. Now, effort rate is calculated on how many modules they've completed. So if we give them 5 modules to complete, if they've done all 5, they have completed 100% of the work. If they haven't done all 5, then clearly the percentage is going to be less than the 100%. Now, sometimes effort can be more than, which means your child is doing more than the expectation I've set. They are exceeding my expectation with the amount of work that they are doing. So the higher that percentage, the more they're doing. Now, it's important that higher isn't always better for effort, because if I'm not mastering the work, what is the point in doing as much work? Now, your child will have to look at every fortnight and make an active decision about if they're going to only meet the 5 or 9 deadline, or if they're going to do more than the expectation set. Now, the more then comes into the accuracy. Accuracy tells me how many of the modules they've mastered. So if they have done 5 modules and they got all 5 modules correct, they have a 100% accuracy rate. If they get 4 of the 5 modules correct, they only have an 80% accuracy rate. Now, if your child gets 7 out of 9 correct, they have a 70% accuracy rate. So our hope is to get an 80%, which means either 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 9 modules, because that tells us that your child is still making decent progress in filling those gaps and getting ahead of the game and catching up. If we're dropping under an 80% accuracy rate, it means your child is not catching up at an ideal rate, which is concerning for us as teachers. Now, a high effort and low accuracy means that your child may not be doing the work correctly, rushing the work, or just had a really bad day. So if they're doing their warm-up, their entry ticket, and their exit ticket correctly, then hopefully that would mean we've got a higher accuracy rate. Now, if your child is not doing as many modules and they have a high accuracy, it might mean that they're not doing enough work and not challenging themselves enough and may have to do a little bit more. Now, sometimes we have bad weeks where life happens and we just can't get enough homework done and we have a low effort, but we did what we did well, and so we have a high accuracy. So we need to look at our child and look at every fortnight to have an understanding of, am I happy with this? Did life happen here? What do we need to change? Our maximum rate of accuracy is 100%. Now, our math teachers this year is Miss Hewitt, Miss Haslett, Miss De Souza, and Miss Della. All of these teachers are open and available for you to reach out, so please feel free to contact them if you are in a need of doing so for any reason. They are happy to talk to you about your child and their own learning path so that they can be the best student that they can be. Now, if you've got any questions, please feel free to email us, ring the school office, and make a time to come and see any of the teachers, and we are happy to discuss your child. Thank you for listening.